Hey, Simon,
Yes.
guess what?
Oh.
There's a new film out. It's called Gifted, and it's advertised on the side of buses, which is never a good thing. And it's advertised as being from the director of 500 Days of Summer, Mark Webb. And the story appears to be a kind of Little Man Tate story. So essentially,
It appears to be.
Little Man Tate, the Jodie Foster film. I think I may be wrong. One of the first films that Jodie Foster directed. You interviewed Jodie Foster not so long ago for a film which she had directed. Didn't you?
I did. Yes, it wasn't that one though.
No, it wasn't that one. No, Little Man Tate was a while ago. Anyway, if you don't know Little Man Tate, just forget that I even mentioned it.
Okay.
But for those who do know Little Man Tate, you know that film?
It's one of those.
It's a little bit like that. Okay. So anyway, the story is that Chris Evans is a young single man who is raising a child prodigy, Mary, who he desperately wants to have a normal childhood. He is self-employed, works as a boat repairer, which is kind of, obviously Nick Sparks territory. And they live in a, fairly lowly house near Tampa with a one-eyed cat called Fred. And it's coming up to the child's first day at school, and basically the neighbour, played by everyone is expecting her to have a difficult time at school because she's an incredibly sort of smart kid. And what he says is, look, this is a quote, just dumb her down into a decent human being like everybody else. But of course, what happens is she gets into school, she takes one look at the, what's 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, and she says, yeah, what's the square root of, 158? Immediately, her teacher clocks her as a genius and says, this child needs to go somewhere else. She, however, is not at all pleased and ends up having a stand-up row with what they call in America the principal. Here's a clip.
I didn't want to go to this stupid school in the first place. And the boy in the next row acts inappropriately for someone who's a child.
I'm sorry, I'm still passive-aggressively ignoring you.
Other kids answer questions, they don't get into trouble.
You didn't get in trouble for answering questions. You yelled at the principal. Oh, you know what? You're gonna find this interesting. So I Googled first graders who yell at the principal, and statistically, you're never gonna believe how many kids do it.
How many?
None.
So, meanwhile, the neighbour, played by Octavia Spencer, is saying, look, don't send the child to school, because this is all going to end badly, because the minute the child gets into school, everybody realises that the child is a prodigy, says the child really, really needs to go to this, kind of academy establishment. He says, we don't have the money. It's okay, we can get you the money, we can get you a scholarship, but there's something else going on. And what is going on is that essentially he, for reasons which become apparent as the drama starts to unfold, just wants her to have a normal childhood, not a childhood in which she is hot-housed, not a childhood in which, he says, believe me, she knows she's different. I mean, the kid is a maths genius, numbers dance around in front of her, she can do everything, and very sort of convincingly portrayed. Now, I went into this having seen the poster and having basically known just a tiny bit about the premise and thinking this sounds terribly cheesy. And I was really delighted by it. And we've talked before about how sometimes your expectations of a movie can, impact how the movie plays to you. But I thought it was really charming. I thought it was really sharply written, had a, really sort of smart, funny script that apparently I found out later on had spent some time on the blacklist. It was one of those blacklisted scripts in which, this is a script that everybody, wants to get made, but hasn't been made yet. Why hasn't it? And it's got really funny dialogue. Scripted by Tom Flynn, directed by Mark Webb. Really great performances by the whole cast. Whether it's him being the father or her being the young girl, and doing this thing in which she's smart and clever and sassy, but not in that kind of annoying cinema way of very precocious children, played by McKenna Grace. And Octavia Spencer is terrific as the neighbour who does that thing. Octavia Spencer's got this kind of trademark look, which is affectionate disapproval. There's nobody who does affectionate disapproval better than she does. It's this, I can't do it. It's a way of sort of looking at somebody.
I think it's the kind of look that members of your family, one's family, might give you if you
take away the affection.
Yeah. Oh, okay. A very revealing aside.
But that thing about just the way of sort of looking, because she has a sort of slightly sort of love-hate relationship with the father.
Really, you think that card is going to be good enough on today of all days? Really?
Yeah. Exactly that. So you were doing that, and then just when you're thinking, wow, this is really sharp and really funny and really well written and really well played, Along comes Lindsay Duncan. Now, I think Lindsay Duncan is great in almost everything. I'm a huge fan of
She
Lindsay.
playing the role of Russell Crowe in this film.
So Lindsay Duncan is basically playing the grandmother, who's the very controlling grandmother who really wants the child to go to to the academy and to fulfill her her full academic intellectual potential, and has her own reasons for doing this. And what you then get drawn into is this kind of strange web of family infighting. But what's really smart about the movie is that it's never reduced to the level of pastiche or parody. It turns into a custody battle, and we end up having courtroom sequences. And there is one moment in it that really struck me as just how great Lindsay Duncan is. She has to do a speech in the witness box that in anybody else's hands would have turned into that speech that Jack Nicholson does in A Few Good Men that always drives me mad, that everybody always quotes, the "you can't handle the truth" thing, because it's just completely not what happens in those kind of spaces. And what Lindsay Duncan does is she's given this speech, which she's it's brilliant. I mean, it's absolute masterclass. You just sit there and you go, yeah, that is well done. You've taken something that could so easily have tipped over into parody, could so easily have unbalanced the drama, and you've handled it perfectly and you've pitched it perfectly. So, although I understand that what I'm talking about is essentially, kind of a fairly light, is not a world-changing film or anything like that, having gone in, having been slightly put off by the posters and really not had much expectation. Firstly, I laughed a lot. I mean, I really did laugh. There was a lot of lines in it that are really funny. As I said, sharply written and very, very well delivered by the cast. There's one moment when Lindsay Duncan says, never pick a fight with somebody who's angry and has a small amount of power. I thought I taught you that. I'm probably slightly paraphrasing it. And it was really, really well done. Plus, I cared about the characters. I believed in the characters, which is, actually 90% of the battle when you have these things. Do you believe that these people are actually fighting these battles for real? I came out with a smile on my face and I thought, well, that was an unexpected treat. So it's called Gifted, and, nobody was more surprised than me by just how charming and just how sharp and well put together it was.